All right. Make sure the everything's working. Hopefully, you all can hear me. This is Christopher Powell, CTO of Project Pi, and I'm giving a dev update. I wanted to try something a little different. Usually, when I give the dev updates, on um, it's on Telegram, and then after Telegram, it's on Twitter on every Monday. And the reason why we do this is, just full transparency. We want to make sure that people see and know what we're doing. But I wanted to try something a little different. Wanted to actually do it live, so you can actually see the processes of everything that's going on. So uh, we'll get started shortly. Let me actually send this to my Telegram. So one quick second. So 1 second. Almost done, y'all. I actually just realized I said y'all. I've been living in Georgia for far too long. Um, okay, one more thing. Alrighty. Okay, we're good. All right. So first things first. Yeah. Again, um, this is new. Um, before for every dev update, we definitely try to do this every week. We want to let people know what we're doing, and usually we would post on Saturdays in the Telegram, and then on Mondays we'll post the same news for people on Twitter. So that's the reason why it's always good to be in our Telegram for the latest news. But this time I wanted to try something else. I wanted to actually like show my screen and let you all see what's going on and how I'm doing things. So uh, I'm going to actually go ahead and do that real quick. Uh, see, we're going to do entire screen. Okay. And so the first thing is, let me actually move this here. Um, okay, so on the left side, we are actually in my validator. And let's see, make sure blow this up just a little bit. And on the right side is the actual project hub. What I've been trying to do for this week is actually, first thing off, if you don't know what we're doing, again, I am Christopher Powell. I am the CTO of Project Pi, and Project Pi is a liquid staking protocol. We are building liquid staking on Pulse and we've been actively building this out for the last, I want to say, about 7 or so months. We've been on testnet since May, but we've been just constantly adding on um, unique features and things that I believe that the community would want to have on a liquid staking protocol. And also just unique features that are different from some of the other players like a Lido or Rocket Pool, Jito, etc. Right? So we've been building this out, and one of the things I really want to work on is I wanted to see if I can make it easier for individuals to exit out their validator. Um, in our documentation, so real quick, I'll pull that out. We have the withdrawals for Lighthouse and Prism. If you're familiar with your, validating on Pulse Chain, then it shouldn't be a problem to exit, especially if you know your ins and outs of the actual validator in itself. For Lighthouse, you typically will want to have your key store file or keystore.json file, and you will want to have your validator password. Um, and so then from there, you would have um, your file and your key store, and they're saved. Typically, you save it in the validator underscore keys path. Um, I have the steps on the left side, so you can see on testnet examples. It's running Docker, and this is actually just an example of one of the validators that I was running, in which the path is going to be different from everyone else, depending on what you name it. And so typically, you would have to change the key store name uh, to the actual key store that you're going to be using, that's specific for the public key or the deposit.json that you're using. And then you also would need your password, in which that password file, I also saved it in the validator underscore keys path. Um, and so if you, again, if you know your ins and outs of a validator, it's fairly simple to do. But, you know, for Project Pi and, just in general, we want to make things easier. We want to make things simpler. So I actually did that. If I go to the dashboard, so I'll actually blow this up real quick. We are in the PiPools dashboard, in which I have this card here, which says My Stake. It shows the PPY collateral ratio. I am on testnet right now because that's where we are currently. We have the PPY staked, so how much we've staked, or this individual, myself, has staked on this account, the Pulse staked, and then the matched amount. And then I actually already received a little bit of rewards just for interacting with the protocol. Reward cycles would be on testnet every 8 days, and on mainnet, it would be about every 28 days. So then you have your Pi pools, and your Pi pools are essentially validators that are pulled together from or funds are pulled together from the liquid stakers. So liquid stakers would deposit 16 million, and you would then deposit 16 million as well. So I have a different amount of cards. Basically, I've been testing this since we've been on testnet. So you can see even down here, May 24th, all the way to August, not too long ago. So um, the different statuses for the Pi pools represents just the statuses of where the Pi pool is. So you have canceled, where if you say you wanted to create a Pi pool and you successfully do so, and then you change your mind, you can always cancel. There is a cancellation time period, but you can cancel. And then you have finished, which is self-explanatory. You've finished. The Pi pool is done. You've received your pulse and you've received your PPY. On our protocol, you'll be earning 2 tokens. The minimum collateral, or I'm sorry, the minimal APY would be around 20% on testnet and on mainnet. And then you have staking. You also have pre-launched and you have launched. And you have withdrawal or withdrawable. And so right now I have 3 that are staking. And because they're staking, that means that there are validators that are connected to the protocol that are simply waiting to not only receive rewards in the polls, but in PPY. And, we want to exit them out. So the first thing is let's actually go through the process of exiting out an individual while on the platform. First things first, I can click on Exit Validator, in which when you click that, mind you, you have to be in the staking. And I forgot to mention this, the only way the Exit Validator button actually appears is when the end appears. So the end of the staking cycle, the Exit Validator button appears. So you can click it. And then it says, please deposit the key store file and the password associated with this pub key. And so what I can do is I can actually choose my file, and I can go to desktop and then choose the key store file test.json. And it says pub key mismatch. The pub key in this key store file is not working. The reason I set it up this way is I want to make sure that if you're going to put in the correct key store, and it has to match with the actual pub key. And so that's going to be very important. So if your pub key and your key store file pub key does not match, then you're not going to be able to put in you can put in your password, but you wouldn't be able to actually click the submit button. So I'm going to click cancel here. Let me go back to the validator real quick so I can actually show you if you are not familiar where it's at. So if I do ls cd validator underscore keys, ls, you can see the deposit data.json file, and you can see the key store files. Now what this means is I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 potential validators that I can run on this validator. The deposit.json has 10 deposit files or credentials that are attached to each of the key stores. So what I'm going to actually have to do is I'm going to actually have to look for that actual key store file that corresponds with validator 13491 and currently active. And one other thing I actually added in here is I wanted to make sure that people actually can see that their validator is active, everything is working, and you see your validator index directly on our platform. That's very important, just simply because I use the beacon a lot in testnet. and sometimes it's down, and sometimes you can't actually see if you're active or your status. So I wanted to just add a simple status for every Pi pool or every validator that's connected. So one quick second, somebody actually just messaged me. Um, okay, so where was I? Oh yeah, so the validator index in each Pi pool is going to have a unique status. So if I were to look for, let's see, do cat, I'll do key store, I think it's key store 4. Can't remember which, hold on, let's see, key cat, key store. It might be, don't remember which one it is, but I do have one readily available. That is in DCC3. And mind you, I don't mind sharing this because they're on testnet, so it's not a big deal. Let me actually see. So it is, if I do exit, A5DA, 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 cat, key store, let's do 6. Let's see, pub key. Nope, cat, key store, 7. Okay, cat, key store, 8. We're going to just keep going until we find it. Okay, here we go. We found it. So what I may end up doing, and I think that will be very important, is when you go and create your Pi pool. So real quick, I'll go to create Pi pool. You would click select. So the first thing it says is validate with your own node. So you are responsible with your own node and whatever you do with it. You click select, and then you have your 4 credentials that you'll put in. You'll put in the pub key, the withdrawal credential, which is going to be the Pi pool withdrawal address. You have the signature, you have the deposit data route, and you can select the duration. On testnet, it's between 5 to 15 days. On mainnet, it'll be 15 to 365 days. So what I may also do, how much T-pulse do I need? You need 32 million test pulse. It'll be the same as mainnet. So mainnet and testnet are the same. And so when you register your node on our platform, you're going to have specific, well, yes, 16 million, but you still need 32 in total if you're a solo validator. But I get what you mean. But on our on our platform, you would need 16 million polls because it will be paired with the liquid stakers. But if you're a solo validator, it's 32 million test polls or 32 million polls on mainnet. But on this page, I may actually add something where when when you first start, make sure you send or make sure you save your key store file as well, because you're going to need it in the future when you're exiting. The reason I wouldn't want people to follow, I thought about this. I could have added an extra step to say 1, register node, 2, add key store file and password, but then that's where the security problem lies. I wouldn't want people to save their key store and their password right in the beginning, because then you have to save it, and it's just like if we were to save it as Project Pi, I think that's a added security risk, in my opinion. So I figured it would be better to allow people to save their data deposit JSON file and save their key store file in the beginning, so that when you're ready to exit in the future, you have that file ready to go. And you have to do it anyway. If you're setting up a validator, let me not clear that. Let me make sure I remember the number. Let's see, key store file, number 8. Okay, so number 8. So for example, when you're setting up a validator, you're going to have to save the key, the data.json file information anyway. So for example, if I do cat deposit, again, I'm running potentially 10 validators on testnet. So that's why the numbers, it's a lot of numbers and a lot of stuff going on. But essentially, you're going to need to save your information. What I can do is I can pull the information here real quick so you can see exactly what I'm doing. Let me actually pull this up real quick. Cat key store 8. Okay, key store 8. And then I believe I have it over here. Might be testnet 7. All right, it might be. Again, I do have quite a bit, so bear with me. But okay, here we go. So this was the one, this access.json was the validator that I actually set up when I was on Access's stream. And so if you see here, even though I had 10 of basically 10 validators with their own unique set of credentials, I was able to essentially grab the data.json information that I needed, and I just put it in one separate file, just like this. So you would just make sure you have the ending brackets. So it starts with the curly, or it will actually start without these brackets here. It'll actually be the curly brackets, and then you just have to add the other brackets, the regular brackets. So I'm gonna just reverse that and save it. And so then what you would do after that is you would save the key store file that corresponds with this deposit JSON file. So in this instance, I'll do it's from here to here. Now for the key store file, I'll make a new one, and I don't need to add the not the regular brackets. I don't need to add that. So for the deposit.json, you need the regular brackets. For the key store, you can go with just the curly brackets. But I'm going to save it as I'll just save it as access key.json, and then just save. And I believe that's on desktop. Yeah, here we go. So now we're going to go back to the platform, and we're going to go back to dashboard. We're going to go to one of these nodes down here, and we're going to click Exit Validator, and we're going to click the Choose File, and we're going to choose the Access Key. Again, it's not going to work because the pub key does not correspond with that key store file. Supa, direct message me on Telegram. I would, I'll give it to you. Just hit me up. But again, so it would not work. But if I were to click Exit Validator, and I click Choose File, and then I choose Access Key.json, boom, we're good because it matches. The pub key matches with the actual key store file that I just saved. So before I hit submit, I'm going to actually pull up something super important. Definitely will want to have this popped up real quick. Alrighty, so on the left side, what you're looking at is essentially the server that I had to basically figure out and set up how to do the withdrawals or the exiting. And so I'm going to actually blow this up and pay attention to the bottom here. One thing also to add before I enter the password is typically you have to add or you have to put in your script, and then you have to type in a phrase, and it's exit my validator. Um, if you're savvy and you know how to set up a validator, then it's no problem for you to actually go into your validator and do the script um, to exit in your validator. That's if you want to. You have that option to do so if you want to. But this, I feel like, is much easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the password. I'm going to hit submit. Let's see what happens. Alrighty. So you can see on the left side at the bottom, it says exit my validator, and it says successfully validated and published voluntary exit for the specific validator ending with A5DA. And remember, this one ends at A5DA. So that worked. That was correct. So now what we're going to do is we're going to simply just wait. It takes, I would say, about 5, maybe 10 minutes at the most for the validator to actually be able to exit the person out. So in the 5 or so minutes, we'll discuss and talk more. But keep in mind, and I will want you all to pay attention to the actual validator index and active. I think that's going to be very important, and I'll explain that shortly. But what we can do is we can go into the Dev Center, and which is essentially what I've created. This will be for individuals that would be essentially people we hire, or people that are possibly in the protocol or in the DAO. People in the DAO or people that we hire. They'll be able to move things along, do certain things related to the protocol. What we can do is we can actually go to the reward operations, and let's actually go to the data analytics real quick, and let's go to PyPools, and let's go to the very last person, which was the one I just exited out of. You can see A5DA. So this and the withdrawal credentials is correct because it's in green. We're going to grab the owner, and then we're going to go to Dev Center, and let's go ahead and paste their address, and we're going to calculate and distribute rewards and see if it works. Okay, it doesn't work. Let me actually refresh. It might be that. If it doesn't work, then the reason why it probably wouldn't work is because it's not ready yet. Again, it's on a time schedule. Yep, it's on a time schedule. So can't give rewards out. Actually, the person already received rewards for that validator. So that's the reason why. I just remembered for myself. Let's see. What's some other? Okay, let's see if we can start the reward cycle. Okay, we can start the reward cycle. So what that means is that every 8, oh yeah, duh, you have to start the cycle first. So what I'm doing essentially is I'm starting the cycle, which on testnet is every 8 days. On mainnet, it'll be about every 28 days. But what will end up happening is the PPY token is going to inflate, and some of those rewards are going to actually be given out to the actual node operators. And yeah, let's go ahead and confirm it. Some will be burned away as well. So I just confirmed it. It's August 31st. So the next time I can do this is September 8th. And so we're going to wait until, okay, there we go. Reward cycle started successfully. Let's refresh the page. Keep in mind the 24,678.05. Okay, here we go. All right, so let's see. JB said I'm frozen. Am I frozen? Let me make sure I'm not frozen. Yeah, I don't think I'm frozen, JB. We'll see. But essentially, you have the PPY available to burn. So if I wanted to, I could burn right now. Burn, not start reward cycle. Let me click confirm. And the 20,000 will actually go into the total TPPY burn. So it should be the 221,000 or so. And then what I'm going to do after the burn is I'm going to actually go back to the analytics. Again, just killing time a little bit for the validator to do its thing. And then I'll go back to the page so we can actually see and discuss more about the validator that I just exited out of. Okay, so burn successfully. If I refresh the page and go back to the TPPY operations, okay, so it worked. If I go back to analytics and then I go to TPPY, all right, beautiful. So now, let's see, reward cycle start 0 days ago, reward cycle ends in 8 days. Okay, that works. This dot here is the total current supply. So the dot's still on its course on the line. It's on the trend line, so that's good. This is basically how we see PPY inflating within the next 4 or so years. And again, because this is on testnet, it's every 8 days as far as the inflation rate. So let's go back to the dashboard and let's refresh the page and see what happens. Well, when you look at that, if you notice before, the validator 13491 was active, and now it's changed its status to active exiting or active exit. One other thing that I added was the button, the exit validator button is gone. I basically made it to where the button would disappear once the status changed from active to active exiting. And it only makes sense. You should not be able to exit the validator and use the keystore, the same keystore file and password consecutively. You do it once, that's it. So now this validator has exited, which is awesome. That means literally a person could come to the platform and they can set up their validator. And then after they set it up, then they would be able to, do what they need to do, validate, earn PPY, earn pulse over time. And then once they're done, which would be at the end time, the exit validator button would appear. And after the button appears, that person will be able to exit out using their key store file, hopefully when that person actually saved it in the beginning, along with their deposit.json file. Now, also keep in mind that you need to have your password that corresponds with that key store file, which you would set up when you set up your validator. So you have to make sure you have your password. Otherwise, um, yeah, you're going to be having a hard time figuring out how to exit out your validator, put it that way. So what I can also do is I can go back into the server because I know, one of the questions will be, well, if you're able to exit, well, what happened to the key store files? Well, or what happened to the password and key store file? Um, the key store file and password simply goes to a temporary address or a temporary file. Um, the temporary file would simply store or hold on to the key store file and password just for the time being, just to exit. And then once the exit happens, those files are deleted. So if I was to do an ls in here, there's nothing in here, which is a good thing. Again, we do not want to save any of the key store files nor passwords associated with a person's validator when exiting. I think that is a secure way, much more efficient way of doing things. One more thing, keep this in mind that right now on testnet, it only works for Lighthouse. I have not done it for Prism just yet. That will be something that I'll be actually working on this week. So I'll have to sit down and really think about how that process is going to work. But ultimately, my ultimate goal is a person can have Prism or Lighthouse, and regardless of regardless of the two, you still could come to upload key store file, choose your file, and put in your password, submit, and it would act as if it didn't matter if it was Prism or Lighthouse. You can still exit. That's the ultimate goal. And so if I can get that going, not if, when I get that going, you would simply be able to exit out of the Pi pools with your validator on this page. And so, yeah, right now it's still going to be active exiting. That typically takes some time. Yep, that typically takes some time. The next status, if I can recall, is I think it's exiting unslashed. So yeah, I think that's the next step afterwards, but that would take some time. Excuse me. One other thing is, if you notice, withdraw partial rewards. So if I was to actually click on withdraw partial rewards, I could click confirm, and then I would receive some rewards that I would have been earning. Let's say if you staked for, I don't know, 365 days on mainnet. Well, when I first set this up in the smart contracts, it only allowed for a person to receive all their pulse at the very end, and that's not right. So what I end up doing is I basically just made sure that I will be able to allow a person to receive their rewards at a timely manner. So let me see, 23F11. Let's see, 23F11. All right. Let's do another 10,000. And mind you, how I have it set up is that every time a Pi pool or a person is in it and they receive rewards, well, remember, some of the rewards are distributed amongst the liquid stakers as well. So the ratio or percentages is 52.5% of the pulse would be going to the node operators, and I'm sorry, 57.5% would be going to node operators, and 42.5% would be going to the liquid stakers. So I can click distribute rewards. Okay, I click distribute rewards. Actually, reward interval not met. Oh, okay, I can do, okay, that makes sense. That person can't receive actually rewards because they already have gone through the entire process or whatnot. Um, or at least that's what I believe. I'll have to check on this. But ultimately, the individual would be receiving rewards. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Post earn this cycle. So yeah, this person, they've already basically received rewards. I just, after all, I just clicked it, and it was, I think it was like 100 that I did. So they have to wait after a certain period of time. So that's perfectly fine. So after basically after a certain period of time, as far as reward cycles, that's when that person would actually be able to receive their, their pulse and or their PPY. The reward operations would handle the um, PPY here. So let's see if this works. Yep, this works because I just inflated the token, and so how I have that scheduled or how I have that set up is 85% of the inflated tokens would be going to the node operators, 5% would be burned away forever, and 10% would be basically distributed amongst the uh, team and or the individuals that are running the operations. So if I click confirm, then I can go back to dashboard, and this value here should increase from 1,439 to whatever the value should be. There we go. So it just doubled. So um, yeah, simple, very easy. Still in active exiting, but essentially the whole process of it all is allowing people to be able to exit um, quickly, efficiently, without any hassles. And again, if you want to, you can still exit um, out of your validator if you want to, as long as you pay attention to the end time and see when when you need to end. But if you want to do it the easier way, then you also have the exit validator option where you just choose your file, which this should be it. Yep. And then you would type in the password, and then you should be able to exit from there. Um, One of the next things that I'm going to, I'm always working on this. I'm always, adding new things that I think that is going to be very beneficial. I'm actually working on something right now that I think would be as beneficial as the or the exits. Um, I'll actually be discussing that next week once I have everything finalized with it. But um, I can show, like, if I wanted to, I can click claim and restake. So if I wanted to, I could restake some of my PPY. So I changed my collateralization from about 40, I think 43 or 40, what was it? It was 48 to about 51. So I click next. Up, see a little bug. I need to change that. That's easy. Let me click confirm. Restaking funds into the Pi pool. And so by doing that, I'm increasing my collateralization. That means that I am earning more rewards, which is a good thing. So then I can, see another bug here. Got to fix that as well. So yeah, always have something on my plate with this platform. Again, it's a very intricate platform in itself, but the big thing is, basically for this developer update is just showing individuals how to exit out of their validator using our platform, as simple as making sure that when you're actually going to create a pie pool and you click select, you register your node. And then after you register, you create a node ID. But while you're creating a node ID, you can actually go back into your validator and then you can save your key store file simply just going into the validator keys path and looking for your actual key store. But make sure that that key store corresponds to um, the right deposit.json file. Typically, you can just look in the key store file and look for the pub key, and then that's when you're able to figure out which one's which. Um, so I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. But that was the developers update for this week. Um, it was a lot. I will say it was a lot. If you need some assistance, again, I'm always here. Even though I'm always building, I'm always here and available in the Telegram, Twitter. Um, you probably catch me faster on Twitter. I'm still not as savvy on Telegram, but I'm getting there. But Twitter, I'm always on there. So if you need any assistance or if you have any questions, let me know. But always building on this and always just thinking of ways of improving it. Van and I, two-man team, when it comes to actually developing this. And so far, so good. I mean, I'm having a great time. And it's always with the, you know, thinking of just all the challenges and the different ways of being able to actually make sure that all of this is working properly. Um, you know, liquid staking, especially on Pulse Chain, mind you, there's no true liquid staking protocol on Pulse Chain that's on mainnet right now. There are a few platforms or a few companies that are, attempting to put this on to Pulse Chain. Ours is one of them. So, we're basically building this out, but also taking our time, simply because uh, there's a lot. The amount of smart contracts to even go through and set everything up and make sure everything's working, the math behind the APY. Thank God for my physics degree. But besides that, it's like, it's a lot. Yeah, all jokes aside, it is a lot. So, wanted to keep a lot of things in mind and just make sure that if we're going to do this, we're going to do this right. We're going to make sure that everything is professional and simply just go from there. But overall, having a great time. And let me actually check chat. I think someone actually said something to me. Again, if you have any questions, please let me know because I always want to add on to the protocol if there's anything that you see that maybe could be improved or maybe it could be added on there. I didn't show the actual like liquid staking charts. I guess I could do that. I don't have to leave. Let me share the screen again. So I know as of right now, we go to analytics, kind of like stress testing the protocol or whatnot. If I go to liquid staking, I know Van, he was laughing at me last night, but the APY was 12.86%. Yeah, I was stress testing the protocol. So this is not saying that on mainnet, the APY is going to be 12.86%. That'd be beautiful though. But realistically, I do believe that it's probably going to be somewhere between, I would say about 5 to 8. I would say, yeah, I know I was giving like about 3 to 7, but I could probably see on the lowest end, maybe about 3. And then at the highest, like all max out high is really probably like 8. I don't see it going higher than that unless there was just more, obviously more rewards, or maybe like a MEVBot opportunities or something like that, which are in discussion, but that's way down the line. One step at a time. Can't really be focusing on that. But what you see on the platform right now is that you see the last rewards, or the rewards that came into the system. If you're not familiar with liquid staking, think of it like ST Pulse, which is the liquid staking token, is Pulse plus the rewards that are coming in through the system from the node operators that are validating on the protocol. And so over time, which you can see this historical exchange rate, you're going to see that it will start 1-to-1. When I built this, it was already at 1.003. On mainnet, it'll be 1-to-1 on the chart. But over time, as more rewards start to come in, ST Pulse is gaining strength over Pulse over time. I don't have what I can do is maybe I'll add another card which will show the other side of it. Let me actually go to liquid stake here, and then I can show you what I mean. So like exchange rate is 1 pulse is equal to 0.994991 ST pulse. That's equivalent to saying that here 1 ST pulse is essentially this much pulse. So 1 ST pulse has the strength of 1.005 pulse. And so over time, you're going to see that the strength of ST pulse will increase over time versus pulse. That's a given, but it's only when there is enough rewards coming through the system, meaning there has to be enough validators to actually be constantly producing rewards for the protocol in itself. And so that's going good so far. Again, we're on testnet, so the numbers I can expect to not really be as high as we want it to be versus the individuals that will want to actually be on Pulse because on mainnet, because well, it is a little harder to get test Pulse on Pulse in itself. And which is crazy. It's like it's much easier to actually get the mainnet Pulse than testnet Pulse. But besides the point, there's 27 total stakers, and my buddy Van and Justin, or buddies Van and Justin, they told me that somebody actually did the node competition that we actually are having. If I go to Project Pi and I go to the first page, it says liquid staking tutorial contest. The total prize is $200 in Pulse, actual mainnet Pulse, not testnet Pulse. So if you click learn more, and then you scroll down, we're basically allowing people to try out the protocol and simply just liquid stake. Make a video or make a Medium post or article or whatever you want to do, and then just simply go through the rules, fill out the form. Let's see what a form is right here. And once you submit it, then you may have a chance of actually being able to win the contest. The whole point of it is simply just allowing people to, one, participate in what we're doing early, and as well as, it's community. We want this to be community driven, and that's the reason why I'm thinking about all this and building this all out. Even the dev center, I mean, eventually some of the operations in the dev center will be community based, as well as open for the public. I mean, there are some public functions that people will be able to do, um, on the protocol. For example, sync rewards, which would sync the rewards for the liquid stakers, is actually a public function. So eventually, that button is probably going to be on the actual data.projectpi.xyz for liquid staking. But besides the point, um, we have the liquid staking tutorial contest. It ends actually today at 11:59 p.m. Um, so you still have some time, but yeah, it ends today. And one thing to kind of think about is like, let's see, pre-search docs. Go to it real quick. Pre-search is a decentralized search engine browser. I believe they actually have a particular partnership with PostChain in some type of way. I think it's through Go. I think it's through GoPost. I'm not 100% sure, but they did the same thing when they first were like coming out. Um, they allow individuals to simply make tutorials, and they didn't necessarily pay anybody, but they made allowed people to make tutorials for them for their nodes. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people, and this was 3 years ago. And 3 years later, and my tutorial is still in their documentation. So even though when I look at it, I'm like, oh man, it's my old work, but it still hold its own, I suppose, for it to still be in here. But it's just knowing that community is important, and people will probably do the same thing. They'll probably go in our documentation and be like, hey, my stuff is still in Project Pi's documentation. So I think that's one of the main points is just community and driving community. Um, but ultimately, that was the developer update. Just wanted to simply just go over everything. Hopefully, everyone is have some thoughts and some questions about what's going on. Let me actually stop sharing my screen again. Because that I would say that was probably one of the hardest things. When we first did everything, we were just like, okay, well, we got everything working, we got the validators connected to the protocol. Well, how are we going to get people to exit? And at first, in the documentation, we put everything in as far as like Prism and Lighthouse, which again, it's not, if you know what you're doing, it's not too difficult, but I know where individuals that may want to validate, but they're not used to exiting or used to some of those specific functions and actually using terminal, they may get confused. So wanted to make it a little easier for people. Again, one of the things that I'm going to be doing in the future is I'll be doing some research to see how I can implement the Prism version. See if I can actually do the same thing that I did with Lighthouse. And if I can, then I'll make it to where it's all it's all in one go. So essentially a person would go to the page when they need to exit, they would click exit my validator or exit validator, and then they would just put in their key store and their password, and then they click submit and they're exited. It should be as simple as, it should be super simple, but at the same time, it should be to the point, or how I want it to be is where it doesn't matter if it's Prism or Lighthouse. You can use it anytime you want, or you can use it regardless of the two, Prism or Lighthouse. So actually, one last thing I do want to check to see if the status did change from active exiting. I know it takes some time. Oh, okay. I keep saying I want to leave, but I'm just excited. I love what I'm actually doing and love what I'm building. So one last thing, and then I'm gone. I promise. if you can see my screen now and I refresh the page, it did say active exiting. Now it says exited unslash. So there, you can see that the validator in itself has successfully exited out of the, basically, a person has exited. So what that means now is it takes about, I want to say it's 24 hours that it takes for a person to actually exit, like officially with and withdrawn. What's going to happen next is we would see that over time, um, the statuses of what's going on, I'll be able to see based off of the node ID, the person's specific pub key, and I'll be able to see from the pub key the status of their validator. Once I see their status, then I can actually, move them on to the next step, which would go from staking to withdrawable. When withdrawable happens, a user would receive their 16 million pulse back into, yes. So it'll change from staking to withdrawable. Right now it says cannot withdraw at this time. When it says withdrawable, you'll be able to actually click this entire card. And when you click the entire card, MetaMask will pop up. You'll be able to withdraw your 16 million pulse, as well as the rewards that you were supposed to receive. And then, of course, you've already, you will receive your PPY up here. Again, I got to fix this, but you will receive your PPY already. And that's the PPY is actually, it runs on a different reward schedule. So you would more than likely receive PPY before or after your validator is either up and running or it's in the withdrawable stage. But essentially, once the staking status changed to withdrawable, you would click the card, MetaMask pops up, you receive your 16 million pulse back. The 16 million pulse that the liquid stakers helped you with would go back into the liquid staking side, back basically in the pool again. And their rewards will also be properly dispersed. And that's it. You click, you're done, and then you have the finished card. And then also, just wanted to add for the finished, I wanted to just keep the validator information here, just so people can like actually see what's going on, like past history and such. But once it's done, it's done. So you can, come back, make a new validator. You have your pulse staked. You can go back and make another one if you wanted to. Just go back to create a Pi pool, click select, and then go from there. I would say in the future, I'm thinking that, because I know people have this question, well, what if I want to just continue to keep my validator up and running? You would actually, in this this version, you would actually get penalized for it. If you chose, let's say you go to create a Pi pool, you click select, and then you chose 15 days. Whatever amount of days you chose, that's the amount of days you chose. So you should not go over that amount of days. Now you have a 2-day grace period that we're going to give people that'll allow them to exit at the ample amount of time. So in my instance, I exited on the 31st. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, obviously for testing, wouldn't, what do they call it? Well, in this protocol, you call it slashing. So I wouldn't slash myself. But in this instance, for example, it's about to be September. These two people should be slashed because of the fact that they should have been exited a long time ago. So, that type of stuff will be monitored as well. But yeah, ultimately, the developer update, the main thing was just showing individuals that I was able to successfully exit out of a validator using the actual liquid staking protocol page in the dashboard. The whole premise of it is just simply making it easier. The next thing I'll be working on again is working on the Prism version. So I'll have to set up a Prism based validator, which I actually already have running, but I have to set up a new validator for it. And then I have some other stuff that I'm working on, but I don't want to share it just yet. But I think it'll be really good for the protocol, and I think people would really like it. It's going to be crucial anyway, so I'll share that. I'll definitely share that next week. I'll have it done by next week for sure, or at least the beginning parts of it. So um, I am signing off, and this is Project Pi. It's Christopher Powell, CTO. Peace.